Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting question from you this time, one that honestly gets right to the heart of storytelling.
hmm
Are myth and literature actually the same thing?
It's a great question.
Yeah, and you can see why people get confused, right? I mean, myth is often the oldest kind of story we have, and when you write it down, well, it looks like literature.
Structurally, yeah.
Exactly. And you even see scholars like Northrop Frye basically saying myth is narrative or poetic literature. So you think, okay, case closed.
Well, not quite, because that view, it focuses purely on the form, the sort of packaging.
Okay.
Our mission today, really, is to dig a bit deeper. Literature is this huge evolving category, right? The whole canvas. Myth, though. Myth is a specific, very ancient part of that canvas.
So we need to look past just the story itself.
Precisely. We have to get into the intent behind it, the
Yeah.
purpose.
All right, let's unpack that then. If we're moving beyond just the form, what are the sources telling us about what each one is for? What's the core job?
Okay, so myth. What ancient Indian traditions called Puranika Katha, the traditional tale. Its main job was foundational. It was about explaining the big stuff,
Like where the world came from, natural events.
Exactly. Cosmic origins, why seasons change, setting out the rules for society, the morals. It provided a kind of stable worldview. Continuity was key.
Right. And then literature. Sahiti in the Sanskrit tradition, you mentioned that's almost the opposite. It's defined as the feeling of togetherness, which sounds communal, but you're saying it's more dynamic.
It is. That definition hints at shared experience, but literature, especially as it evolves, thrives on change. It's the space for artistic expression, for realism, sure, but also, really importantly, for social critique, questioning things.
So myth sets up the world order and literature often pushes against it.
In a nutshell, yeah. Myth established a cosmology, almost like a belief system or ideology, explaining things before we had modern science. It often helped maintain social structures. Literature, particularly modern fiction, is much more likely to examine, critique, maybe even try to dismantle those structures. Literature embraces change. Myth aims to preserve continuity.
Okay, this feels like the real turning point in the sources. The kind of foundational difference everyone agrees on. It's about the deal, isn't it? The contract between the person telling the story and the audience.
Ah, yes. The claim of truth. That's absolutely central.
Explain that.
Well, when a traditional myth was told, the community, the tellers, they generally intended it and understood it as truth. Maybe not literal scientific fact like we think of it now, but as a genuine account of reality, of history, of how the cosmos works. It was presented seriously.
Whereas a novelist writing fiction today,
They know it's an invention. They're creating a fantasy, a made-up world, and they expect the audience to know that too. There's no pretense of documenting actual events in the same way.
and that changes everything for us, the audience, right? How we're supposed to react.
Totally different demands. Myth required, well, faith, collective belief. You accepted it because it explained your world, your community's place in it.
But literature,
Literature asks for something else entirely. It asks for what Coleridge called the suspension of disbelief.
right? Like when you watch a fantasy movie.
Exactly. You know dragons aren't real, you know people can't fly like that, but you deliberately, temporarily set aside that knowledge to enjoy the story. You choose to accept the imaginative premise.
So if you actually believed the dragons were real, you wouldn't be suspending disbelief.
You'd be exercising faith. That conscious acceptance of the invention, knowing it's an invention, that's the wall between literature, especially fiction, and genuine myth.
Okay, so huge difference in the truth claim. But despite that, literature still seems totally dependent on myth, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't exist without it, arguably. Myth provides the bedrock, the structures. I mean, we still use Aristotle's word mythos just to mean plot or the story's framework.
And it gives us all those universal patterns, the archetypes, like the hero's journey or the quest.
Precisely. Those deep, recurring patterns that resonate across cultures. Literature constantly borrows and reworks them.
And what's really fascinating, and the sources mention this too, is how modern writers specifically use mythic elements for that social critique we talked about.
Yes, that's a powerful technique. Taking a well-known myth or symbol, say analyzing the Lakshman Rekha symbol from the Ramayana.
The line drawn around Sita.
Right, and using that symbol, which everyone recognizes, to critique modern ideas about, say, patriarchal control or restrictions placed on women. It uses the old framework to deliver a very contemporary message. It kind of weaponizes the myth.
That ties into something else. The sources mention the complexity, especially in traditions like in India with the Puranas or the big epics, the Itihasa,
Yes, that's important.
because there, the line between what we'd call fiction and what was seen as historical or cosmic truth, it wasn't always so sharp, was it? It's blurrier than a strict Western definition might allow.
It can be, yes. These narratives were often viewed as expressing deeper truths. Maybe not literal history moment by moment, but certainly profound cosmic or historical realities for the culture. It does complicate that neat fiction-truth divide.
Which maybe leads us back to the core idea.
I think so.
Myth is this specific kind of narrative, one that originally made a claim to truth, shaping a worldview. Literature is the much bigger, dynamic, artistic space that includes myth, uses myth, reacts against myth.
Exactly. They're not the same thing. Myth is a vital subset, a foundational layer. Literature is the vast structure built upon it, constantly interacting with it. They absolutely need each other.
So they're distinct but inseparable.
Well put. And maybe here's something to leave you thinking about. The sources touch on something called secondary mythologizing.
Okay.
This is where a known author, someone writing clear fiction, intentionally uses those deep archetypal structures, those mythic patterns. Think of maybe a huge fantasy series or a sci-fi universe.
Right.
They create this detailed fictional world, hoping it resonates so deeply, taps into those universal patterns so effectively that it almost becomes a kind of modern myth in the collective consciousness.
Wow, like creating new myths intentionally out of fiction.
Kind of, yeah. So, given how much modern film, TV, games rely on things like the hero's journey, the question for you is, what fictional universe are you deep into right now that might just be shaping up to be the myth of tomorrow?